Now, there are lots and lots of issues with this conspiracy theory about how the world works. Okay? First of all, there's absolutely no evidence that any of this is true. We don't know if demons actually exist. There's absolutely no evidence that demons exist. There's no evidence that this is a giant conspiracy that stretched back, 1,000 years. Okay? Second thing is the elite don't know that this is true. Okay? The people believe this is true, but if you actually go talk to people who have real power, they think this is complete and utter nonsense. Okay? And the third thing about this is that it's anti-historical, meaning that it is a very simplified version of how things work. It doesn't take into account other factors as well. Also, what we learn in this class is game theory. And this is also anti-game theory. Because one thing that you learn in this class is that when people are in power, they become arrogant, hubris. They become stupid. So it's very common for powerful people to rise and then have a spectacular fall, okay? That's just the iron law of history. So for these reasons, we know this theory is not true. At the same time, there are certain things about this theory that are very compelling, okay? So let's go over some of them. Well, the first thing about this theory that's compelling is that it is very intuitive. What intuitive just means is that if I tell it to someone, it makes sense to that person. It makes a lot more sense than the history that we're taught in school. That's kind of strange, right? None of this is correct, but it's intuitive. Second of all, is that it's explanatory. In that even though this is not factual, it does help us understand how the world works. It's a very clear explanation. Now, the third thing that is the most paradoxical is that it is predictive. Meaning, it helps us predict how things will turn out in the future. And so even though the elite think this is all insane and there's no way they're plotting to create World War III, there's absolutely no way that they're trying to create an AI surveillance state and create a one world government, chances are these things will happen. Okay? So this creates a huge paradox. How is it that this is not factual, okay? This is not at all factual, but it is truthful. Meaning it gives us tremendous insight into how the world works. All right? So this is a paradox. This is all nonsense, but it helps us predict the future. So it's truthful. So what I'm going to do now is try to explain to you how the system really works, okay? So the main thing you need to understand is that this is metaphorical. Metaphorical. It is not literal.